Okay, so I prepared a picture for you guys and I posted it, and that way you can copy the picture. The angle of the picture I posted is going to be a little bit different from the angle from this angle here, but that's fine, right? You just copy the picture, so it should be okay. Again, you can copy the picture, or you can buy a little plant, a little cactus, right? At your preference. If you have one at home, you can copy that. Okay. All right. So now I'm gradually, as you can see, more and more getting into the details, and it's just a question of time now, where you kind of carve out more and more of these little details. So I'm not going to keep this video too long, because you understand now how the method proceeds, right? And now eventually I'm going to move in, see, in this area here with darker color, darker value, here, in between the little segments, right? And then now we can get some of the this area here a little bit more detail. So here I want to show you the dry brush technique. I need the dark green, right? Okay. It's really not completely dry. I mean, it's relatively dry brush. It's kind of an in-between, right? But now I can layer this, see that? Many brush strokes, many tiny brush strokes, and put a layer, much more control layer here, that is not very wet, and therefore it's not going to disturb much the previous layers, right? So now I need to darken, let's say I need to darken all this area here, so I gradually put darker and darker layers of value there, relatively speaking, because I would need black to add to my colors. I don't have it, and I mean, I could use at this point, but let's try to do without, right? Because I want to stick with our palette, right? See that? We see how that gets darker, but it's still somehow transparent, this color here, so it will maintain a certain degree of luminosity, right? This part here is very dark, right, under here, because when the watercolor is applied thick, it's dead. It doesn't work. It doesn't really work, right? So I can create a gradation with this, right? I can create a gradation. I can really get into smaller and smaller details, right? For example, here I might need an edge that is slightly darker here, right? Close to the edge of this forming here, both sides here and here, right? And then I kind of lighten up, right? That. So I want this to come out, right? So I need to sharpen this edge here very gradually, right? But in a way where I don't have a sharp line, because I have a sharp uniform line, it is going to be super flat. I don't want it to be super flat. I want to give the idea of a plane that is receding, moving away from me, not a sharp flat line, right? See what I'm saying, right? So this kind of feel like this plane is really flat plane seen from an extreme foreshortening. So this part in here also, right? So now um, I think you have a good idea of what the technique is. See that, right? So as I keep adding values in here, like these forms that are now still kind of confusing here, see how they can really bring them out. So this work has been done traditionally. I mean, this type of illustration traditionally with watercolor or gouache. Gouache is also a very good medium, but it does not have the luminosity that the watercolor has, and watercolor is trickier to use for this kind of descriptive work, but has a glow, a luminosity that is just glorious, right? So and so on, right? So I see how this eventually I'm gonna bring this down lower and lower and lower. This is gonna be shaded because it moves away. In here I need to see just barely visible another of these the blades of the cactus kind of stemming out, right? And this, of course, is not going to be flat uniform because it has a slightly rounded. So in here, maybe the color will change a little bit here, right? Here. So the advantage of this technique here is that if I have some areas that are not uniform in the wash, I can go back in there and fill in, see that, make it uniform, fill in the difference. Now here, so 1, 2, 3, right, to create the gradual. And now here I can taking off some of the pigment in the brush, on the brush, I can create a gradation, right? This area here on the right is going to be darker, much darker, right? So likewise, when I paint the earth here, I can go back in here with slightly more smaller and smaller areas. See that? Slightly smaller areas, darker and darker, right? And have this building up of this little chunks of soil, of dirt around my little cactus. And with patience, you would have a very detailed, highly detailed work. So this is something that you will take some time for you to do, right? So be patient and maybe do it in the course of 2, 3, 4 days. Keep it going, even a week or so. Keep it developing. Let's say maybe this is a long-term project, and it's a different technique, as you've seen from the faster, quicker washes that we had done earlier on. This is much more deliberate. It requires patience, and it's good to paint like this with nice music going on, right? Some classical music in the background, something, right? Or the smell of parmentier cooking in the background. I wouldn't say a glass of wine, because if you start drinking wine, then you might as well stop, right? Because you know what's gonna happen, right? But it's relaxing. Listen to the radio. Listen to something entertaining in the background, because at this point in here, you just have to patiently carve out the forms of this cactus, right? And it will take like some time. So next lesson 8, I would like to propose you an orchid, because the orchid has the advantage that it's gonna stay there fresh for a long time, right? So if you have an orchid, good. If you don't have an orchid, buy it. If you don't want to buy it, I will post a picture of the orchid so you can copy the orchid that I will provide you with. And maybe we do different parts of the orchid, right, in different lessons, because it's a big flower and it will take some time. But so I'm gonna post this video, and I'm looking forward to see your artwork. Beautiful so far. You guys are doing a great job.